to Untold Stories at the Table.
Hey guys, good to see you tonight. It was great to have people actually in the church this morning worshiping. That was an awesome thing. Hopefully, to be honest, we can have this back on a church property soon, wouldn't you say?
Hopefully so. I'm hoping so.
We're praying that happens, but it's all in God's timing. Karen, would you like to open us up with a word of prayer tonight?
Sure. Father, thank you so much for allowing us to gather together to do untold stories from the Bible. And Father, thank you for the ability to once again gather together as a church family to worship you. And Father, I just pray for everyone joining us tonight to listen to the untold story. And Father, I just pray for everyone sitting at the table tonight that you will speak through us. And thank you for everything that you've done for us and keeping us safe during the coronavirus. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, so tonight, it's not exactly an untold story, would you say?
No, I think people have heard this one.
Yeah.
A lot of people have heard this one, but it's so important, and that's one of the reasons we brought it to the table tonight. It's Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 through 33. It's Jesus walking on the water, and then Peter walking on the water with him. And it's just, how do you put it? It's interesting to see God's glory on how he walked on the water, and then he allowed Peter to walk on the water.
It's kind of crazy to think that he was able to do what he did, and after just letting all the people go and the multitudes go that he'd just been preaching to. One thing that did stick out to me, which we'll get to when we read the verses, is about him going off and by himself first. And so we'll talk about that more in a minute. But that's one of the biggest things that starts this story out.
Okay, so we're actually going to read a story about somebody that walked on water. Two people, right?
Yes, two
Yes.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to walk on water?
Well, I think I would like it to be possible because as short as I am, half the time, even in a swimming pool, the water's over my head and I'm practically drowning. So, I don't know. It might be kind of cool to be able to walk on water.
I mean, it's possible when God's the power behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
I've tried
I've
to do
never
it.
been able to do
I've
that.
ran across the pool about 2 steps and went splash and sank to the bottom.
So we got a funny video for you guys to watch. These are some people that tried to figure out how to actually do it. Let's see what they come up with.
Attempting the mythical ninja trick of walking on water, Adam went nowhere but under. But as the silent observer of his numerous dunkings, Jamie's had time to think, and he's come up with a mysterious solution.
There is something that I've come up with that you can walk on it. It does have a lot of water in it. I'd like to see how that works.
His covert concoction is 200 gallons of water and 1,000 pounds of powdery cornstarch. Trusted myth-turned-jest is in charge of getting the consistency just right. Some blue food coloring completes the recipe.
Okay, we're good. Are we ready to pour?
Yeah, ready when you are.
The mixture is tipped into a large plastic container that represents a deep samurai moat. Adam is perplexed.
What is this stuff?
It's water. It's got something else in it, but it's water.
It's a Heinemann version of water.
Yeah, and you're going to walk on it.
No way.
Way. There's nothing Adam would rather do than play in a giant tub of goo.
Look at this!
Finally, the container is filled to the brim, and our ninja novice soaks up some advice from Sensei Heinemann.
I think you ought to get one good stride across it. As far as hanging out there and walking around or even hopping, I have my doubts.
All right, well, I want to go.
Adam scales the imaginary wall and is ready to cross the water obstacle.
Think like those movies where they're walking up bamboo and stuff, you know.
All right, here we go. That is so cool!
Hey, it worked.
It sure did. Adam ran across the surface. The reason is the cornstarch and water combo is a non-Newtonian fluid, and these kinds of fluids change their viscosity.
It looks like a liquid, it pours like a liquid, but when you want to run across it, you're fine because the impact of your feet is enough to change that balance. All of a sudden you've got a solid that you're dealing with only for a second, but it's long enough for you to move across the top of it without sinking into it.
I'm just going to go back and forth a couple times because it's really fun.
Adam shatters the perception that shadow warriors don't know how to have a good time.
Dude, it's a lot of work. Being ninja is a hard job. Woo.
It wants to let you go down, doesn't it?
All right, so this is just to show there's no trickery involved. This is actually a liquid. I'm going to step into it. I'm going to sink. Then I'm going to change my clothes. Oh, oh, that's funky. Oh, dude, that feels so wrong.
So it's a far-fetched idea for feudal Japanese times. But corn was introduced to Japan around the 16th century, right around the time ninjas existed. And it sure was fun.
Oh, come on in. The water's great.
Of course, this is a little on the silly side. I mean, yes, it's a liquid, but are you really going to have large quantities of cornstarch mixed up and sitting around someplace? I suppose maybe next to a cornstarch factory in Asia somewhere, and you happen to be a ninja and you happen to be trying to sneak around. It's a bit of a stretch.
All right, so this is the end of the line for walking on water. What do you think?
It's busted.
Totally busted. Let's go home.
All right.
All right. So they didn't really walk on water, did they?
I don't know, but we need to try that. That looks like so much fun.
It
No.
was water-esque.
How would you guys like to try that one Wednesday night when we get back?
That
Do
is
me a favor. Put as much as you can. Email us. Do whatever you can to say, hey, I want to try this video at Eastside on Wednesday nights when we get back.
I will tell you, it is not very feasible at times.
What,
They
to get
only-
1,000 pounds of
Yeah.
cornstarch?
It's $3.50 a pound. It's
Ooh.
$3,500 to do
We're gonna
that.
need some sponsors.
But
Yes, we
maybe
are.
we should do a smaller batch. It'd
I
be
was gonna
fun.
say maybe in a little kiddie pool so it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be so deep.
That is true.
I'll give a Blaine and borrow Leland's kiddie pool.
We'll see if we can pull this off.
But
It kind of reminds me of oobleck that we do in science class.
Yeah.
When we're talking about solids and liquids and can they be both. So as I'm watching that video, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of when I made like that oobleck slime with my kids.
so what's interesting is they proved you could walk on that water if you changed what the water was.
Yeah, it wasn't 100% water.
No.
They manipulated it.
They had to manipulate it.
It actually looked like Jell-O. Let's be real.
Or like a thick pudding,
Yeah.
like blueberry flavored pudding or cotton candy flavored.
Certainly not beach water.
nasty marshmallow fluff
Maybe.
Maybe.
with some food coloring.
Yeah, maybe.
Ugh.
Gross.
So we're actually going to get into God's Word in Matthew chapter 14 and actually see what type of water they walked on.
I bet it wasn't anything compared to what we just watched.
No.
It had no cornstarch in it. I bet it had some fishes in it, though.
All right, so we're going to read Matthew chapter 14. I'm reading verses 22 through 32. And it says, immediately after this, Jesus insisted that his disciples get back into the boat and cross to the other side of the lake while he sent the people home. After sending them home, he went up into the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was there alone. Meanwhile, the disciples were in trouble far away from land, for a strong wind had risen and they were fighting heavy waves. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them, walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In their fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost!" But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage, I am here." Then Peter called to him, "Lord, if it is really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water." "Yes, come," Jesus said. So Peter went over the side of the boat and walked onto the water toward Jesus. But when he saw the strong winds and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. "You have so little faith," Jesus said. "Why did you doubt me?" When they climbed back into the boat, the wind stopped. Then the disciples worshipped him. "You really are the Son of God," they exclaimed.
You know, it's kind of funny they were talking about Ghost and Peter. Too bad they're not talking about the Ghostbusters and Peter Venkman.
Really?
In this
Okay.
But hey,
I will see your logic there, child of the 80s. And I will raise you, child of the 90s, when it goes, and they saw him and it's a ghost. It reminds me of Scooby-Doo. It's a ghost! As Scooby and Shaggy are running away.
To find food.
to find food. Scooby snacks.
Scooby
Yeah.
snacks. Ooh, good.
But go ahead.
What's interesting is they had to manipulate water in that video to actually make it happen. They're actually on the Aegean Sea. It's seawater. They didn't say Jesus backed up dump trucks of cornstarch and dumped in so he could walk on it.
No, he did
No, he just said walk. Basically, he walked. And then Peter's like, well, if it is you, can I do it? And he just goes, come. You can do it. With me.
Well, the cool thing too is that Jesus couldn't had to carry the 3,500 pounds of or $3,500 worth of cornstarch by himself because he was by himself at the first, and he went to pray. It's kind of amazing that when if you look at Jesus, a lot of times when he does one of his huge miracles, he's originally by himself for a while and praying. And that's something that we have to look at as to also, for him to do this, he had to be empowered by the Holy Spirit, empowered by God. And for him to be that way, he'd already done poured out everything he could to the multitudes. I mean, he had preached. And for those that teach and do those kind of things, that we understand that it takes a lot out of you. It'll wear you out. So Jesus went back and went by himself to get re-energized and repowered up so that he could do this work that he was about to do.
And I guess, and I think that's where we look at too. Like Jesus just got done feeding the 5,000, so the disciples had just witnessed a miracle. They'd just seen him perform a miracle, and then he sends them on their way while he goes and spends time with the Lord. You know, we too often forget the step of prayer. And I know Grant and I had talked about prayer this past Wednesday on our Wednesday night video, but we too often forget that prayer should become before action. And that we shouldn't make decisions without the prayer. And so Jesus is modeling here a life for us as leaders where he does take the time away from performing the miracles to go and be alone with the Father. There's just a lot there to me. You know, we have to be re-energized. It's okay to take a minute to be re-energized.
If not, you look like Aaron over here yawning a little bit because I know he's tired.
A little bit.
But
well,
go ahead.
We're talking about prayer here now. Along these lines, when you think of Jesus the night before he was actually taken away, he went to the garden to pray, and he took his disciples with him. But at one point he goes, you stay here and pray, I'm going to go on further and pray. He knew that you needed to pray as a church, as a youth group, we need to pray.
Absolutely.
But he also knew as an individual, you need to pray as well.
And I was actually going to reference to, you know, the Gospels, we've talked about it a lot before, how the Gospels have different perspectives so Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you may not see all the same stories in all the different books, but some of the authors, some of them repeat stories, but they tell them from a different perspective. So I equate it to like me and Grant. I'm a detail-oriented person. Grant's not. He's just like a bread and butter, literally bread and butter. He loves bread kind of person.
And
biscuits.
And biscuits. So when I walk into a room, I might say, oh, there was a this on here and that. You know, I might go into intricate details. But then Grant might walk in a room and he might say, well, there was a table and a chair. So we're both walking into the same room and looking at it from different perspectives. And that's what the authors of the gospel do. And what I love is that if you look at the same story in the book of Mark, Now, anybody who knows Mark is like Grant. He's like the down and dirty, quick, fast, like let's get this done kind of deal. He would go in a room and say, well, there was a table and chair. But Mark still points out that Jesus went up to the hilltop to pray.
Right.
So if you're taking the author of the gospel, who was minimalistic in my mind, and he still doesn't leave out that Jesus goes and prays, it really emphasizes how important that time alone with the Lord is.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool.
Well, because, I mean, Jesus, like us, was having a relationship with God.
Right.
Like, he was in constant communication and commune with him. You know, we have the Bible, but, you know, Jesus had a direct line to God, and he still took the time to spend alone time with him. I think that's so powerful.
It's one of those things, like you're talking about communication.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is the Son of God. If you could, do you call your mom most of the time?
On a regular basis, yeah.
On a regular basis.
Yep. Of course, you'll call me.
I'll call my mom. I'll call my dad. We'll call people that we love that are in that figure to us. And that's what Jesus was doing. He was calling his dad. And there'll be times in your life where that might not be as easily or readily available to someone because certain things happen. But you can always call Jesus. You can always call God. He's always ready to pick up the phone.
They're just a prayer away.
Yeah.
And the cool thing, too, about it is you get to see both sides of the spectrum in this story.
Yeah.
You get to see a prayerful Jesus who has been prayed up, who's ready for, empowered, what to do. And then we got Peter.
Yeah.
I just love Peter because Peter's so much like me. He's so gung ho, and then his ego gets hit, and then he's blub 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 blub. You're right, but Peter's great. Peter's awesome. I resonate with Peter, and I think a bunch of kids will resonate with Peter too because he likes to run off with his mouth sometimes faster than he can think.
That's I resonate with that too. We speak before we think sometimes.
It's just like them with the ghost. They've been walking with Jesus for how long? And how he been talking about spirits and about the things of God? Why you don't think he's a ghost? Why you don't think he's a spirit?
I mean, sometimes I think like 3 o'clock in the morning, like if I were on a boat and somebody walked across water at 3 o'clock in the morning, I am far from a morning person. So I'd probably think I was hallucinating. So I'm sure some of them probably thought like, oh, I'm hallucinating. That's why he's a ghost. But, you know, there's got to be a point to why Jesus came at 3 o'clock in the morning as opposed to the bright, sunny daytime. I mean, that's a great question.
It's a great question. Thanks a lot. No, it was just this way he spent his time. I mean, he knew they would be far out too.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he was walking in the shallow water where they had just pushed out to sea, it wouldn't have been a miracle. But he walked out there
also,
miles and miles.
And it was storming.
Along with saying that, also at the time of them departing, it was still light.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else could have seen it too. He meant for those people in that boat to see that.
That's it.
That's why he did it at 3 a.m.
Yep.
Because I'll be honest, unless you think about it, there ain't nothing good that happens after midnight.
Not really.
Not really.
Sleep.
I work crazy hours. I go home at crazy hours. There is nothing good after midnight. Just go to bed.
Quit staying and play video games up till late in the night. Or talking to your girlfriend, Braden.
Or walking around Plant City. Shouldn't be walking around Plant City at
3 a.m. in the morning. Spud, Jack. But here's the thing. We just saw Jesus. We saw how great and powerful he was, that he was prayed up. Then we get to see Peter. Peter goes, well, of course Peter is the kind of person that always goes, well, you know what? So I want you to prove it. I'm going to prove it. You prove it. If you're really Jesus, tell me to come on out there. And Jesus goes, okay.
He reminds me of a toddler that goes, I want that toy. Jesus is playing with a toy, and he goes, I want that toy. All right, well, come get it.
Peter
goes, okay.
Peter asked and said, hey, let me do this, and let me come out there to you. And Jesus said, just bring it.
But then you look at Peter, and okay, if some like ghost tells me to step out of a boat on a stormy night into water, I mean, I'm not sure that I'm going to do that right off the bat. So, like, clearly Peter has some serious faith going on.
He does
right
at the beginning.
In the beginning.
At the beginning, because his eyes are on who?
Because his eyes are on Jesus.
On Jesus.
But, you know, to even have just that moment of faith, that type of walk with the Lord. I mean, I think about what we've been going through in the last couple of weeks, and I think about, like, you know, at first I was hesitant to just step out on the water, you know, and I've heard so many people say, well, I'll just stay in my house and wait and see what happens to y'all. You know, we're creatures of hesitation, of wanting physical and hands-on proof that God's real and God's got our back. But Peter here takes an absolute step of faith without, you know, the proof that, you know, he's going to sink. But then the storms of life come, which, I mean, I know we can all relate to that.
Yep. There's always something that takes our eyes off of Jesus, and this won't be the first time. This might be one of the first times that Peter makes a mistake. Later on, he makes a huge one, and even Jesus tells him that it's going to happen in his life, and he still does what God said he was going to do, and fights it the whole tooth and nail, saying he'd never do it. He'll never deny him. He'll never deny him. He denies him 3 times after walking on the water, after seeing miracles. I mean, Peter's so mean, it is pitiful. He's so mean. I'm so gung-ho. I'm like, I got this. Let's do this, Jesus. And then one little thing gets me off track, or
then you look to the right, and there's a wave coming at you.
Well, if that's my ego, or hits who I am, and I'm at a point where I can't reach it or do it myself in my mind, and then I go.
Would you say fear creeps in?
Oh, fear creeps in,
most definitely.
big time. Because it just happened the other day when we were with our RV. That our refrigerator went out one more time, and I'm about to kick it through the wall. And I'm getting frustrated, getting angry, getting mad. And there's more fear than anything, because here I am going, now something's broke again, and I know I can't fix it. Luckily, I had my wife here, and she helped remember, so we got it fixed.
Side question. Did he kick the fridge?
No, I did not kick the fridge.
You did not let him kick. You should have.
I actually said a
It would have
prayer.
moved, and his foot would have hurt.
No,
and everything
actually,
fine.
what we did. Okay, so the fridge, for those of y'all who don't know, our fridge and our RV is in a slide, and there's some kind of issue with the fact that every time it gets over 100 degrees
Or 90.
or 99 or whatever it is in Florida, the fridge thinks it's on fire, and it clicks off and shuts off entirely. Well, it's no big deal if you catch it and you can fix it, but it is a big deal if you're not there and the whole thing thaws out and you lose everything in it and it floods the floor. Well, the other big deal is that you can't just like push a button to fix it. They want you to actually take the RV to a dealership, and then the dealership reset the refrigerator. So last summer, 3 times I think it was, Grant hauled the giant RV down the road just for them to click the refrigerator back over.
The magnet.
We finally got tired of clicking the refrigerator back over, and we did a little bit of online reading, and all you have to do is take a magnet and put it over this little thing and it clicks the fridge back on.
Resets the system.
Well, we talked about, we got to go, get a magnet. Never did it. Of course, when the refrigerator clicks, it's 8:30 at night, and you guys all know that all the stores have been closing at 8.
Yep.
And so I was very proud of us. We didn't get upset.
Nope.
We just literally said, okay, Lord, please help us. Please let Lowe's or something be open that has a magnet, and if not, then so be it. Lord, show us a solution, and we did. And but fear from immediately a minute took over until
Because
you're
of
like,
things
wait,
we've
what
had.
am I doing?
I know exactly.
Terrifying
So,
and paralyzing.
when we actually read the story, and Peter just goes, if it is you, can I go? Can I do it? And he does. And then all of a sudden he starts sinking. We say it's taking his eyes off Jesus, but would it be more of a fear?
I think he's allowing, if you think about it, if you're walking on water and everything's good because it's like a calm lake, right? You've seen lake water. Well, what if all of a sudden there was an ocean wave that came flying across the lake water? That might make me go, what is that?
Or an alligator swimming up behind me. That might make me a little bit nervous.
Let's not talk about swimming with gators, Grant.
Y'all heard
Are
the
we going to
story.
bring up the canoe story?
No, we're not talking about that.
Not right now.
We talk about panic and fear.
I almost walked on water.
Yes.
Well, at least until she could get in the tree.
Yes.
So it's fear. Fear is the reason that he actually sank at the time.
At this point, yes.
At this point, it's fear. What is fear? Except a tactic of the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Why are people scared to go outside without a mask on? Virus or no virus, it plays with a fear.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong, you probably all seen the people in Publix and Walmart with the gloves and the mask, and you probably laughed at them. I'll admit I've laughed at some of them. Some of them are crazy. I saw one woman, instead of wearing a face mask, she had a face shield. Are you welding something?
Well, and it's not like it was closed in, so I mean, she was still getting all the germs, and her germs.
I
were
mean, I
still
think
getting
there's
out.
one thing to be said about people wearing a face mask because they feel like they're using it as a means for, like, if I wore one, I was protecting you. That's one mentality, but then a whole nother mentality is when these people are wearing, like, hazmat suits into the grocery store or some crazy form of, you know, mask, like a snorkel
And goggles.
and goggles. You know, there comes to a point with where does your faith meet your fear? And we've been
Exactly.
talking about that all week long, really, honestly.
Yep. And Peter's fear met his faith, and his fear won out because he got focused on everything else except for the man that had called him out on the water.
Yep.
He missed everything out, and he got called out. There's people that we have callings on our lives, and then our call, we realize what our call is, and we realize that we got to go do something that's completely out of our comfort zone, and we go, yeah, no, I'm not doing that because
Like
I'm
being a
scared.
YouTuber.
Yeah, well, this is
Second nature now.
second nature now,
No.
but here's the thing, that fear creeps in, and it seeps in, and it seeped in not just at the very beginning for Peter, but it's been with him. Yes, he has been bold and he's been boisterous. He says that Jesus Christ is the Son of God and that he's who he says he is. But the thing inside of Peter is if you get a little tink in Peter's armor, he starts to crumble because he living on pride. I'll be honest. Peter lives on pride, and that's where I get it from Peter. Peter's the bold guy. He's the one that up front, but you chink his armor and he's sinking and turning tail and running. And I think that's what we have to realize about Peter is Peter's human. Peter's just like you and me. I mean, if we were put in the same situation, I guarantee you, we would walk out there, and about after 6 or 7 or 8, 9, 10 steps, we'll look around and see the waves, and I guarantee you, we would start to sink. Because I know a lot of us go, well, if I was the children of Israel and I saw the fire and the cloud and all that, I would continue to worship God. Well, how many times has God taken you by the hand and got you through situations? Had you seen people that were in dire straits, God moved them out of it. You've seen his works. You've seen what he's done. You heard what he's done in his word. But 2 seconds later, you're either cussing your parents out or screaming at them and yelling at them and being mad about something they said to you. 5 seconds later, after coming out of church, you're looking at your parents saying, I don't want to go to McDonald's. I want to go to Burger King. Y'all suck as parents because I got to go to Burger King. I mean, it happens.
Well, if they were really amazing parents, they'd take you to Culver's instead. So there's that.
Exactly. So that's where we're at because Peter's human. We're all human. We all have make mistakes. We all have flaws. This flesh is going to deteriorate and leave us. But it's what we do with our souls and what we do with Jesus Christ that makes a difference. And I know you as kids think, I can't do that. I'm trying to enjoy it and trying to keep my head above water and trying to be a social person and be with my friends and do this things. And we got 500 things we're juggling. We're juggling 500 things. And the only thing you got to do is put Jesus in your hand and let him take care of everything else, and you'll be able to juggle it one-handed. Be able to throw it behind your back, catch it on this side. You won't be juggling all those things because you'll remove the things that don't matter to you, and you'll have one thing of Jesus. And that's what Peter needed to learn. And he did learn it eventually. But
He did. Took some time.
Took some time.
Don't we
It
all?
takes time for all of us.
Yes.
Don't we all?
But when
He's still working on me
Oh my goodness, here we go.
to make me what I ought to be. Took him just a week to make the moon and the stars, sun and the earth and Jupiter and Mars. How loving and patient he must be. He's still working on me.
just want to do an infomercial here right now, we will have a CD available.
Hey, we could fund our cornstarch
2029,
tub. Yeah.
possibly, of Grant's Lullabies.
Hello.
But when we break it down to, he walked on water, Peter joined him, Peter ended up with fear. If Peter wouldn't have got the fear, if Peter wouldn't have listened to the lies of fear, he would have kept walking with God. Right on that one.
Right out to Jesus and right back into the boat.
And I think we all do that.
Yep.
Oh, for sure. We
Because-
definitely fall prey to our fear. there's so many controversial thoughts out there of when should we open schools, should we return to church. Ultimately we're letting fear rule our lives if we're not seeking God's plan. And what's right for my family may not be right for your family, and so you really have to seek God's face to find out what is, God's desire for your family. Is it to be fearful and wait and see? Is it to return to church? Ultimately that's between you and God, but I think we have to make sure as believers that we live out our faith. And I think that the fact that Peter was human and that he made mistakes makes me feel better, so that when I make mistakes, I don't, feel all alone. And then last week when we were talking about building our house on the rock or on the sand and being changed by the world around us, as believers, we can't allow non-believers and their fear to creep inside of us and control us, because that's not what God wants. That's what Satan wants. He wants us to live in fear. Naomi and I went to Walmart, and they literally are herding you in like sheep to the slaughter through one entrance and one exit. That's all fear-based because they're trying to control the entry and exit point of the store. But all they're doing is causing everyone
to be in the same
in
place,
the same area, which is not practicing good social distancing practices. So don't let social media, the news outlet, control how you're responding to the coronavirus. Live out your faith and don't let your fear rule you.
I got a question when we finish. One question,
Okay.
but when we get done, let me ask one question.
So we look at the fear. Fear is a liar. We let fear seep in.
It's like a poison.
It's like a poison.
How scared was you when you went to school?
When I went to school,
When you started school?
oh, I was scared.
How long did it take you to sign up even for the application to apply?
Wait a minute. How scared were you when you went back to school?
Mine wasn't a fear. Mine was just a decision whether or not I was going to be accepted or not.
Okay, Peter.
Mine wasn't scared. Mine was a fear. I'll tell you straight up. I was scared. I mean, I had okay grades in school. I wasn't a great student. I've had some difficulties over time trying to learn. I mean, if I haven't told you, I'll tell you now. I couldn't read to the 5th grade. Yay, Polk County. But no, I learned. I had a processing problem. I had a disability, but I didn't let that stop me. Now, I did let that put fear in me when I did go to apply for seminary.
Yep.
But everyone sitting at this table just looked at me and said, "You're okay. You can do it."
You'll make it.
Well, and ultimately, I told you if you didn't get in, then that was God saying you didn't need to go.
Same.
But if you don't ever apply, then you'll never know.
Then you'll never know.
It's kind of like that new job that you're, still not put the application in for. What are you waiting on?
Thanks.
Just saying. So everyone, make sure you text Aaron and ask him if he put in that application because he's been procrastinating.
But it's right. Fear is a giant tool of the enemy. And we have to realize that the only way to overcome that fear is to be into his word and to pray to him.
That's right.
And the enemy knows how to attack each person.
He's been doing
Because
it.
each of our fears are different at this table. I guarantee you, none of us sitting at this table have the exact same fears.
I know we don't.
No. Sure
But
don't.
Satan knows every single way to convince us that our worst fear is going to come true.
And you know how he knows? We tell him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We tell him.
We tell him.
We tell him. He ain't omnipresent, omniscient. He ain't like God. He doesn't know everything.
Yep.
He has to be told. He may have some little minions beside you listening, but as soon as he finds it out, boy, he just takes the screwdriver and says, "Here we go."
That's a side note. We're going to say this right now in case you're wondering. A lot of people think that Satan's sitting in hell waiting on souls and stuff. Read the book of Job. Satan's walking the earth just like everyone else.
Yep.
So he's right. Satan doesn't know what our fears are. But as soon as we say our fears, he's going to be like,
On it.
Gotcha.
You're scared of that.
Gotcha.
I mean, I'm going to use one general because I don't think you are. But if Grant said, "Hey, I'm scared of clowns," what's Satan going to use?
Wait,
Clowns.
he actually is.
I am afraid of clowns.
Clowns.
I hate it. Can't
He's
stand
terrified of
clowns.
clowns.
I hate clowns. So if anybody dresses up like a cow for Halloween, I'm gonna
A clown
Yeah.
or a cow?
a clown.
He's
Hey,
terrified.
Jack, I'm calling you.
No
Clown
clowns.
cow.
Yeah, no
Here we go,
clowns.
Vina.
Don't do clowns.
So we're going to leave you with a video. We want you to listen to the words in this video. It's talking about fear and what fear is.
But before the video, I got my question.
Oh,
Okay?
We know that Peter sank in the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know he sank in the water. We know that Jesus walked out there and was good. He was on dry land. My question to all y'all is, where did Peter get a second set of clothes after he got out back in the boat? He was completely wet the whole entire time. So could you imagine making a trip across the Adrian Sea soaking wet? I'll leave y'all with that. And as we play the video, go ahead.